Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2021 AT&T Pro-Am Preview Show. I appreciate you greatly. If this is the first time you've checked in, I think you're going to get a lot of great content. I dive a lot into the details, but maybe not as entertaining, but definitely I hope you get a lot out of this to help you with your builds or betting coming up for this amazing event at the iconic Pebble Beach in Monterey Peninsula, California. We got a lot to cover. So it was an amazing weekend of sports. Of course, we had what a great tournament. I honestly think the Waste Management for me was probably one of the better tournaments to watch since maybe the Masters. It's hard to even put on. I think there was so many different narratives. We're going to talk a little bit about them. Of course, you had Super Bowl Sunday with which I think was quite a bit of an upset. Maybe not the greatest game to watch. But yeah, all in all, a lot to recap. So first thing, the plan for this show is I'm going to just do a quick recap of the Waste Management. We'll dive into some details, and then we'll get into the AT&T Pro-Am, why you are probably here. So just real quickly, I just want to go over my top picks to have a top 10 finish or better. Of course, I was picking Xander. Typical Xander like the fee now, not to put that narrative, but a lot of the times he's the bridesmaid, but not the bride. It was shocking to me, to be honest. I thought two things. Okay, the one thing I thought for sure was his game showing for the first 3 days that he should have no issues, but he's stated that one thing that he's tried to work on is that when he is leading a tournament or he's actually done better coming from behind. A lot of his tournaments that he's won, he's actually came from behind and won. When he is leading a tournament, he said that, he starts to have a little, maybe he has to deal with the excitement. I don't think anxiety, but just the excitement of, so who knows how he slept. But long story short, on one side I felt bad, but also I was really pulling for Brooks. So, it is what it is. And on that note, of course, my other pick was Webb Simpson. And Webb's game, if you look at him as a stock right now, I would look at him as on the downslide. I'm not going to go into a ton of details. In the future, I will when we're talking more about Webb. But things that Webb has always done very well, he's been struggling with. If you look at even what he did at his home course where he always wins as a Wyndham, I mean, these courses are usually perfect setups for Webb. And, you get less than 7,200 in Bermuda course. Typically, Webb is going to be there either, top 3, top 5. But his approach is not where it was. Off the tee is not what it was. His putting is not where it was. And we could go over the analysis, but I'm not going to do that right now. But long story short, future on Webb is the outlook is not good. Of course, Rahm, is one of my other picks. Local guy, loves this course, has done well here. He actually, I think he ended up, we'll dive into the numbers, but did have I think he had T13 or something like that. I've got a quick video after this that I'll throw in after this quick recap of really will sum up Rahm's tournament.
The best of your ability. Kind of decelled a little bit. Oh, he is one.
And then, of course, I don't like to toot my own horn, and I'm not going to play my clips from my plays. But I was saying, for the price, it was time to buy in on Brooks. You could just see it in his last couple outings. Even though he had 3 missed cuts in a row, you could start to see some old Brooks coming back. He had some good showings at I believe it was the Masters and the Vivint Houston Open. And then, he kind of went back on a little downturn. But everything I was seeing, it looked like he was just like, you know what? I'm tired of, missing cuts. I'm tired of everybody talking about somebody else. And it is time for me to go do what I do. And so I had a great weekend from a positive side. I hope you guys did too. And with it, I'm also going to do a promotion. I think we're almost at 150 subscribers. Definitely trying to increase that. And so what I'm going to do, because I had a nice profitable weekend, I want to share a little bit of that with you guys. I'm going to have a promotion I'll talk about towards the end of this. And so stay tuned for that. But anyways, long story short, we were all over Brooks. I actually had him in an outright bet to win. I hit him twice. I hit him on the first, and then I hit him on a Friday when I still saw that you were getting 40 to 1. I think it was 55 to 1 odds pre-tournament, and then 40-1 even after, like, I think Friday. And I was like, if there was anybody in that field that I saw that could come and catch the guys that were on top, it was Brooks. And congrats for him. It's good to see him back. And then even Jordan Spieth, we'll talk a little bit about when I get his numbers. But there's, like I said, so many narratives to this tournament. And then I had Harris English again for like a Webb Simpson. It just seems like his game for the last couple tournaments. Maybe Harris at the tournament of champions hit his peak. Won that tournament. It was a great field. It was a smaller field, but again, it was a spot where I thought Harris could do well. And a couple of the courses that he should have fit very well. Something just isn't jiving, and that can happen, right? I mean, as you saw with like a Steve Stricker or a Spieth, these guys could just have those 4 good days and away they go. And on the whole Steve Stricker thing, I just put this up there. It's kind of humorous. So when I did my fades for the last couple shows, I was doing like almost 10 or 15 fades. And I thought, or not fades, I'm sorry. When I was picking my sleepers, I was providing quite a few sleepers. And I thought, I need to narrow this. I need to get it down like 5 or 6. And so Steve Stricker literally was the 6th man out or 7th man out. I think I picked 6 guys. And so one of my first subscribers pinged me right before the lock and was trying to figure out who he should go with, and I believe Stricker was 6,300, but he was looking at Sink, which I even told him, as you see, I thought he was a pretty good play. I actually picked him as a sleeper. I did a little more analysis on Steve Stricker, and the more and more, which is funny as I misspelled his name twice there, I had Steve Sticker and then Steve Strickler. But long story short was that, what he's done on Bermuda, everything just kind of fit for his game here. It was kind of funny. I think they mentioned he wasn't even planning on playing in this tournament, but because a lot of the guys that he was looking at for the Ryder Cup were going to be there, he wanted to play, which is crazy. And then end up, I think it was T3 or something like that. But I didn't play a ton of the large GPP. I played quite a bit of outright bets. I had quite a bit of head-to-head and cash, and I played, just a lot of the smaller stuff. Like I said, I'm only going to be throwing a few in the large games right now until, otherwise. But anyways, just thought I'd put that up there, kind of, need to listen to my own advice at times. But I didn't put Steve into a lot of things. I played him a little bit in Showdown and stuff like that, but did not have him. I had 3 teams in the large 200K GPP, and 2 of them cash. So it's pretty good, 2 out of 3. Okay, enough on that. Let's jump in just a little bit of the numbers. Bear with me here. And, I do this as if like I said, if you're new, this is kind of what I do. And I don't spend a ton of time on this because I know this is a bit of an eye chart, but there's a lot of good information here. And it's, a lot of guys just kind of talk like what I just did, a very high level overview of, what happened in the tournament. But, I like to go through and talk about who I picked, who I was fading, but the guys who are leading in certain categories, who to keep an eye on moving forward. I think there's a lot of things you can glean out of this. So the first thing we'll just do, moving down this chart. So Brooks Koepka, of course, you already saw, I had him as a pick. 8,800, great buy. Of course, he led, because of placement points and everything he did. Shot 4 days in the 60s. He actually led in that one stroke gain category, which I think is interesting. That's pretty rare. Typically, one of these are hit if you win a tournament. He did everything really well. The approach was key. That was a key area that we were looking at that they had to be successful at. Some of the guys that did lead in some of the stat categories, so if we scroll all the way down to Brendan Steele, actually led off the tee. Believe that or not. At one time, I think Rory was leading that category, but somehow Brendan Steele, when it was all said and done, led. And then on approach, you had Jordan Spieth, which is not a shocker, of course. Off the tee, still Jordan, and that's what caught up to him on Sunday. I was rooting for the guy. It was amazing to see, that he was finally in contention and did it on a Saturday, shooting 10 under. Of course, you can see him and Schauffele led after round 3. But, you could just see like Hahn and Spieth and Schauffele, like those guys, coming down to the last, 3 finishing holes, the par 3, 16, they didn't convert on. Then they go, of course, and both of them throw it in the water on the par 17, which is, if you're not making a birdie, you're kind of, giving up a stroke. If you make a bogey, you're giving up 2 strokes. And it was even on Koepka. When Koepka made the eagle chip in on 17, I knew it was game over, and I was hoping, of course, he would birdie 18 just to give me a little more breath, because actually it came down to KH Lee was the only guy that could make a putt. to take it to a playoff. And on that note, Keish Lee led around the green and tee to green. And so typically, if you see that tee to green leader, that's typically your winner. So again, a little different. But we've had a couple of those. I think it was Patrick Reed. I think the only thing he led in the tournament he won previously at the Farmers, I think, was around the green. I think, if I remember, it was a weird stat like that. Okay, and then putting, crazy enough, Sam Burns gained almost 11 strokes putting, which, Sam Burns on Bermuda is a great putter, but losing the way he did everywhere else, but still, ended up with a T22 and did, if you had him, you definitely got you some nice points. It was kind of crazy. Xander, we already kind of touched on. I'm not going to, but yeah, he was a pick. Rahm, we already touched on. I was fading Justin Thomas. And, of course, I'm sure you heard that, his grandfather passed away, right before the Sunday round, but he decided to play. And, of course, he shot one over. And, Justin Thomas is always a hard fade. And it looked like a pretty good decision. But, you're trying to, when you're at the 10,000 level, you can't, of course, you can't pick them all. I mean, I guess you could build a ton of lineups and you could do that. But I always like to make stance. I like to get my pool down. And so overall, like I said, I mean, Justin, did well, but it worked out from a fade perspective. Rory McIlroy, same thing. Started out real slow, had an amazing closing Sunday, but Rory still, it's just, I think it's a little mental. It's the putter. On approach, I think ultimately he did gain positive, but it wasn't Rory like, and then lost again on putting. And that's, we talked about this multiple times. His recent tournament at Abu Dhabi, he was leading, and then, the putter just missing 3-footers, just kind of coming back to haunt him. Corey Connors, actually, what's weird, and I think I even stated this in the show, that I was fading him ownership, but I thought his cost was a lot more than 7,900. Looking back, I should have probably played a little more Corey. The guy he's just a steady play. He has been. I mean, the guy, the putter, at least he's positive, almost gaining 0.34. But from off the tee and also approach, the guy is just, if you need someone, and if he's priced around, mid sevens, I think he's always a good play right now. He's just been showing. Sunjay M, kind of struggled in the beginning, just made the cut on the number, but did great for me on Showdown on Sunday. The guy, it's kind of funny, if you just forget about Sunjay, and then all of a sudden Sunday he'll come out and just tear it up. Willsey, again, almost missed the cut, but then, did well, had a great round 3, and then really just did nothing on round 4. Bubba Watson, same thing, just made the cut on the number, and then, had a nice Sunday. Trying to think if there's anything else. Carlos Ortiz, I don't know if I mentioned him, but if I had to pick one player right now that his game is so trending up, I mean, 7,800, I wasn't on him. I was on him at Farmers. The guy just over and over is just performing, firing on all cylinders, as you see. Of course, he's a good putter. I think that's a little high when you're gaining over 7.5 strokes almost. But someone to keep in mind, he's not in the Pebble Beach that's coming up. The field that's actually here is, except for DJ, I mean, we got some names, but I think this tournament, it's going to be a great tournament to watch. I mean, watching Pebble Beach is amazing, but from a player field, it's just not where it used to be. Russ Henley, a big Henley guy when it comes to approach. He looked like we had something really going after round 3. I think he led at one moment and then, just did nothing on round 4. Mark Hubbard and Neesmith, led on Friday. And funny enough, Neesmith, I think it was either Farmers or the Amex, was popping all over the place, and the guy just puked all over himself. So to be honest, I just been off Neesmith. I just got smoked on that. But him and Hubbard had a pretty good Sunday. So it's funny, they had good opening days and good closing days, but didn't really do anything in between. I already mentioned Webb's struggle. Billy Ho had a good Thursday, Friday, and then struggled on the weekend. Ben Wyan, it was an okay play. I was kind of hoping his game was up on the upswing. The putter is getting better. Typically, that's where Ben Wyan will struggle, but it was off the tee that hurt him. Daniel Berger. Now, if any guy we should have faded, it should have been Daniel Berger. But as everybody saw, he was the highest owned, as far as I know, definitely going into the tournament projection-wise. But he just looked blah, like he didn't even care, and then just lost it all. At one time it looked like he for sure was going to make the cut, and then just started falling apart. So going to keep an eye on Berger. And the one thing that he usually does very well, he actually lost 3 strokes on approach. That was shocking. Yeah, so someone that we do have to keep an eye on. Funny enough, Ted Potter actually won the AT&T Pro-Am. I just, funny enough, he was the one that led in bogeys. So he had the most bogeys. So I'm not going to be looking at Ted Potter, but he won it in 2018. And we'll talk a little more about that when we get at it. Rory, that was very odd for Rory Sabatini. Shot 6 over the first day and then shoots 7 under the next day. I mean, that's more like Rory Sabatini. I don't know what was going on the first day. I didn't get to see a whole lot of hit. But anyways, Harry Higgs, disappointing. Missed by a stroke. Marty Laird, nothing. Some of the local guys have done well there in the past. So that's it. I think that's enough. It was a great tournament. Like I said, I enjoyed it completely. Oh, and then just lastly, the guys, the big value plays, the guys, that we should have had, as the sleepers, James Hahn, you had JT Poston, Stricker, all really good putters to a degree. Those are the guys that were less than $7,000 and got over 100 points. So if you had a couple of those guys and some of the bigger names, you did well. Okay, let's get into the AT&T Pro-Am while we are here. So again, they're, jump to Arizona. We're flying back to California, going to, as I mentioned, the Monterey Peninsula. Been there a couple times. Actually, never got to play the course. I have a good friend that played it and was very jealous. It is a little pricey, but you guys can play there. And then I've heard, actually, if you talk to people that's played those courses, Spyglass, Monterey, or Pebble Beach, supposedly Spyglass is actually the best course. And I think the only way you can play Spyglass is you got to stay there on a weekend package. So if you got a bucket list, you're a big golfer. Note to self, you can play there. It's not cheap, but if you want to play Spyglass, you got to stay for a kind of weekend package. So anyways, it's a little different this year. Of course, there's typically the Pro-Am, and you got the Bill Murrays and, and all the guys, and they play 3 rounds, and they rotate between Spyglass, Monterey, and Pebble Beach. This year, because of course, the pandemic, they have removed, of course, the amateurs are not playing, and they will just be playing on Thursday. Some of the guys will play Pebble Beach. Some of the guys will play Spyglass, and then they rotate it on Friday. And then on Saturday and Sunday will just be Pebble Beach. So a lot of our focus, even though all 3 of these courses are very similar from POA greens, from a distance perspective, we're just going to be focusing on Pebble Beach through all the analysis and all that, just because they're playing 3 rounds there. There's no reason. And also, I don't even think we get shot link data for Spyglass. You can look at things like greens and reg and fairways and reg, but to really dive into the analysis, we're just going to focus on Pebble Beach. So that's where I will be doing that. Of course, Gary Woodland won here in 2019 U.S. Open. I'll look at that, but of course, the course was set up for a U.S. Open. So, typically, the fairway, or I'm sorry, the rough is not going to be nowhere near what it was. We have large fairways here, short course. And as I mentioned, very all par 72. Just, you'll find some that'll say 68, 6,900. What I got from the PGA is it is just playing a little over 7,000 yards. The course defense is, you got 8 holes that are along the coastline. So, of course, everything I've heard is that the wind, if it kicks up, right, I mean, it's a total different course. And right now I have not looked at weather. I will check weather and talk about that on my Wednesday show. No reason to even worry about it right now. Of course, you got the smallest greens on the PGA Tour. They average around 3,500 square feet. If you want to understand from a perspective, typical average green size is about 5,000 square feet. You got some blind shots, due to elevation. You always had the great shot of Tiger Woods with the 7-iron. I think that's 17. I could be wrong. Hitting up, blind and, sticking it right by the flag. So you got some of that. Of course, I mentioned greens are POA, and that's going to be something that we're going to look at. The fairways are large, generous, POA / ryegrass. As I mentioned, the cut event is going to be after 36 holes, not 54. Right now, it looks like 156 players are in the field. And, of course, 65 in ties will make the cut. And the average cut line is usually around 5 under. So 5 to 6 it's been. And then winning score, 19 under, I think, the past 2 years. And then 2018, I think it was 17 under. And then the previous year was 19 under. So you get the gist. Of course, it'll be this Thursday to Sunday coming up on the 11th through the 14th. And again, it looks like we're going to get some nice coverage. It was nice. Also, probably what helped the Waste Management was if you watched a lot of it, you could flip on the Golf Channel. I think it was at noon and watch till 3 o'clock, and they were showing kind of the PGA live coverage. And then, of course, once it kicked over to whatever it is, NBC, that then you got to see more of the different players. And but you got like 6 to 7 hours of golf coverage instead of just like the 3 hours that we've been getting. And then, of course, I've always mentioned, I'll state it again, if you don't have PGA Live, it is well worth it. You get to watch, a lot of the guys in detail from you get to watch the whole thing, and you learn so much more, I think, about the players. You also just get to see a lot more that you don't get to see. But it's almost what kind of time you have. And last, I always state, if you have a Twitter account, you can watch the first hour to hour and a half for free on Twitter at PGA Tour Live. So check that out. Okay, so let's talk about the skill sets needed, to be successful here. So we already mentioned small screen. So, of course, what does that equal to? We have to be very accurate on the approach shot. And, of course, you're going to be missing some of these greens because they are so small. So you got to be really good around the green. And then elite putters on POA we're going to look at. We got very large fairways. So funny enough, you think, well, driving distance, then they can just go ahead and bomb it. But it doesn't tend to go that way. It's accuracy first. Get yourself on the right side of the green for the approach. You don't need to be long here to win. You just need to be in the fairways. And so things I'll be looking is, I might have distance a little bit, but really it's all about, hitting the fairways and good drives. That's a key indicator that I can put into the model. Where again, the putters, because they can go low here, typically, I think so. Nick Taylor, when he won last year, he actually led the field from round 1 and won it all the way through to round 4. So he led the whole time, and he came out with a 63. I think I saw there was about 7 63s that have been shot here. So they got to go low. And so we need guys that get birdie or better opportunities and then also can convert them. And of course, as mentioned, some of the past winners in it. And this kind of shows you, Ted Potter, I don't know really what to make of that. I didn't even really dive into the details. Well, what I did was he did everything well that week. He was green across the board. But we'll dive into Nick Taylor, Webb, and Spieth, who have won here. This is the last 4 years. So, of course, Nick Taylor last year. You had actually Phil's last PGA victory was here in 2019. Potter Jr. out of nowhere, 2018. And then you had Spieth back in his heyday in 2017. And hey, could be back. And definitely he's in this tournament. You've got these 3 guys. Well, you got all 4 of these guys in this tournament. I'd say at least I think Mickelson, funny enough, it's amazing for me to say that we're going to look at playing Phil and Spieth. And, I'll take a look at Nick Taylor. He's also had some decent history here at this course above and beyond the win. All right, so if you dive in, I do this now, and I do this personally, but I don't usually show it, but I wanted to show it to you guys, do some confirmation. So it's real simple. You just pull up, they won this event. What did they do well? And just to go confirm what I'm looking at. And if you look at off the tee, he didn't really gain off the tee. But where he did gain was these 3 stat categories, and that's what we're going to be focusing on with the models and all the analysis we do on approach around the green. And, of course, you're going to have to putt really well. And that's very typical for every guy that wins a tournament. If you look at Phil, who's just had an amazing pedigree here, it's unreal. He can come in with no form, and he comes to Pebble Beach, and away he goes. I mean, as we all know, in the 2019 U.S. Open, that's why people had high hopes for him. But he's at a second place even before this. But again, if you look at, off the tee, gained a little, and that's Phil. But, funny enough, when he won approach, he gained 7 strokes. And of course, Phil's got a great around the green. And if he's putting, you can see it wasn't where he gained crazy around there. It was just around the green. So another, and then Spieth back here again off the tee, really didn't gain a whole lot, but approach and putting and around the green, he lost, 0.1. I mean, that is what it is. So you can get it done as you see, maybe, but really when it all falls down to approach, you got to gain on approach and, around the green, I think, and putting. So it just reconfirms what we've been already looking at. Just looking at some past course conditions, and this is for the 2020, so last year. Really nothing here. I just want you guys, just be able to see this too, that, the greens are soft, so you know if you hit them and you're gonna be able to get the ball close to the pin if you stick it. Very fast green. So again, back to the putting, and then it just shows. In this, I pulled up Spyglass in Pebble Beach from last year just so you can see, and then the wind kicked up on round 4, which then makes things all a little more difficult. But other than that, the rough is short, easy to hit fairways. It's really pretty self-explanatory course, and we all know it pretty well because we've seen it quite a bit on TV. And then if I just look at a breakdown, so kind of similar to the course we just came from, it's got 3 par 5s, 11 par 4s, and 4 par 3s. So a little unique that way. Typically, you got the 4 par 4s on a par 72. And it looks like, if you're doing showdown, again, I always talk about this, the back 9 is, looks like you got a little better ability to get things running. The front's got some very gettable holes. It looks like the easiest hole is the par 5 with the most birdies and eagles. But, if you look at the perspective over the history, starting off on 10, except for 10 and the par 3, that's, they have 2 par 3s that are over 200 yards. Then, of course, they got a par 3 that's 100 yards. But yeah, what I'm getting to in short is, if you're playing showdown, you might want to start the guys on the back just because they can get some momentum going. But I don't see a real huge difference. And then comp courses. So funny enough, there's really not a ton of courses that are, a perfect match. And then some that are even good. So you have some coastal courses like, where they play Corrales or Nine Bridges, or, the courses that are like kind of island courses. We have no shot link data, so I can't leverage those. The best that I could find is where they play the Travelers. It's a par 72. It's POA. It's less than 7,200s. And right now I'm blanking on, it's a TPC. It's not Southwind. I'll think of it, but I already pulled up the information and everything I could see, the Travelers, this is going to be our best comp course. And then I'm going to look at these two also. So you got Harbor Town where they play the RBC Heritage. From a distance, it's Bermuda, but you got to hit the ball in the fairway. And there's some, I'd say, correlation. There's also wind. It is by the water. So some correlation there than the Sony Open at Wailea. It's a par 70. It's Bermuda and it's less than 72 again, coastal. So I don't think these two are perfect. I'm going to leverage it. I like to be able to ping, and the best 2 courses to look at against Pebble Beach is, of course, Monterey and Spyglass, but we don't have shot link data there. And so many few rounds have been played on there compared to Pebble Beach. So, we got to leverage something. So these will be the courses that I'm going to be using when I'm just doing some further analysis. And then I quickly created a model. It's my first pass at a model. And just, I don't have salary, so I'm recording this at 1:30 Eastern time on Monday. And, if I just pull the top 20 guys with plugging in things that we just talked about. So I weighted heavily approach, around the green, putting, and then fairways gained, good drives. A lot of the shots, because these are shorter par 4s, are going to be coming in between 100 and 125. You got some par 3s that are, around 200 yards. So I'll put that in. Of course, I mentioned birdie or better. So birdie or better, of course, is when you have the putt to make a birdie or an eagle. And then this is showing, did you actually convert birdies? And then ball striking. That is just, solid from tee to the green as a combination. When you put that in, click My Rank. This is looking over the past 12 rounds. And also I put in some filters. I don't think I have POA on here, but because it broke it down to such small sample size. But I put like less than 7,200 yards, easy to hit fairways. I don't know if there was anything else, but just to get some correlation to see how these guys do on courses. And this is how it came up, just so you can see. Funny enough, Jordan Spieth, number 1 when you against these weights. You got Streelman, Vaughn Taylor, Nick Taylor. So I do this, and I mention this to make sure that I am looking at the right things. And you've got the past 2 winners there. Mickelson's on here, but he's down a little bit. He's 14th. And then Ted Potter Jr. is nowhere to be found, which, again, that's not a shocker. But just so you can kind of see, of course, the big name here, you got Dustin Johnson, Patrick Cantlay. I'm trying to think. Hold on. Let me see who else. And Daniel Berger and Paul Casey, I'd say, are some of the bigger names that are going to be here. I'm trying to see if anybody else sticks out. Peter Malnati, I think he's always great coming out of the Thursday Friday gate. Max Homa's been playing well. He's going to be here. That's about it. I mean, like I said, comparative to the fields that we've been accustomed to the last couple tournaments, Rory's going to be playing a ton of golf, but he's skipping this one. Will be, as far as I understand, in the next tournament. But yeah, that's it from that, and I think that's about it. Oh, the promotion. What am I running here? All right, what I'm thinking of doing is, if you are new, I need you to subscribe and hopefully click the like button. And what I'm looking for is, or if you are already a subscriber, you are also involved in this, to send me through the comments link, who is your hot player? Who do you think is on the uptick? And who do you think is on the downslide? And so I already mentioned my two. I think Carlos Ortiz is definitely someone we got to keep an eye on. He is on the uptick. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on Webb Simpson, who I believe is on the downslide, because he's losing in areas that Webb can't afford to lose in. And so that's mine. So again, and what I'm offering is $100 into the big tournament. Of course, you can use that $100 however you feel. There'll be one winner, and I have a random selector generator that I'll put all the people that submitted in, let that thing run, whoever it spits out, and I'll notify you on Wednesday. I'll also mention it on my fades and ownership projections and sleeper show. But so that's the promotion I'm running. All the best to everyone, and trying to get the subscriber base up. So hopefully that helps. Again, I want to just make it a little cleaner. If you are not a subscriber, subscribe, click the like button, and send me your player on the upswing and the player on the downswing, and you're in. And if you are a subscriber, you are also allowed to, of course, enter. Same thing. Just send me who you like, who's trending in the right way, who's trending in the wrong way. And that's it. I appreciate your guys' time, and all the best to us. I will have out my top play shows tomorrow, where I really dive into the analysis and get you guys the top 15 guys I think that are going to excel at this tournament. All right, thanks so much, guys. Take care.